Nice detail. You know, I think that when it comes to something that's social, not using earbuds and listening to something, and then also having there be an artistic object in the mix that's part of the discussion. I think that's why you're seeing such a resurgence in vinyl, that like, music as experience that's communal and social rather than just in isolation. Even though I do love the Joy Division song. Isolation. I like to make art as a kid, but mostly just when I wasn't allowed to go out, and I was a kind of hyperactive, mischievous kid. So I would draw and paint when it was raining or when I was on restriction for having thrown water balloons at cars or whatever. But I think the real breakthrough for me was when I discovered skateboarding and punk rock. I grew up in South Carolina. There wasn't a ton of, avant-garde creative culture there. Skateboarding and punk rock allowed me to tap into a zone where it wasn't about conforming to the mainstream. It was a secret subculture that was all about, energy and rule breaking and creativity. I mean, it was like an oasis in the desert for me. Everything I do now is sort of informed by the spirit of things I got into when I was 14 years old. Whether it was what Jamie Reed did for the Sex Pistols or what Raymond Pettibone did for Black Flag or what Winston Smith did for the Dead Kennedys, a lot of this stuff was about subverting existing material. It wasn't about artistic virtuosity. That spirit that was there that was saying you don't have to be a virtuoso, you can be an amateur and still make something that's not only powerful, but in some cases is actually going to change the way people think and disrupt. To me, that was like a floodgate that opened of possibility. A lot of times I want to do portraits of musicians because I love what they create musically, but also how they've changed culture and maybe what they've expressed socially and politically. I've been so fortunate to get to work with Iggy Pop, Led Zeppelin, Interpol, Beastie Boys, Bad Brains, Devo. I've done multiple projects with Public Enemy, with LL Cool J. The list goes on and on of heroes of mine. These are some of the first people, way before teachers at my school or knucklehead friends that would spout off about what was going on in the news. These musicians were the people that started to make me think that it was worth learning about what was going on in the world, understanding the dynamics in a more sophisticated way so that I could then speak my mind with some conviction and make art that had a point of view. These things are still sources of inspiration for me 35 plus years on from when I first discovered them, and they made me think differently and think about how I could participate in the things that mattered to me. Art, music, to me, they don't have to have a really strong social or political voice, but you've got this delivery vehicle with music where it makes you feel. Your intellect follows your emotions. I remember first hearing the Sex Pistols and not even paying attention to the lyrics yet, and knowing that the spirit of this was exactly what I needed in that moment. When I first heard Takes a Nation of Millions by Public Enemy, the air raid sirens, and then this just cacophony of samples, just the energy of it. So I was like primed to listen to the lyrics and have that social message be something that was a really euphoric association with a feeling I had. I'm trying to do the same thing with visual art, where you can seduce and provoke at the same time. When you look at the civil rights movement and you look at the success of Motown, James Brown, I'm Black and I'm Proud, that's incredibly powerful. The anti-Vietnam War movement, even in more subtle ways, when you look at how disco, which was largely a product of gay culture, was embraced by the mainstream, and all of a sudden someone who wasn't straight didn't have to be closeted. Music is a vehicle for social change that is so powerful that when it's not used that way, when I know that the musician has things that they want to say to the world, I think it's a wasted opportunity. Viva con